Welcome to Nina. It's me, Damon, don't get scared. How are you all doing? It's Halloween and I promised I'd come and do a video for you, so I am doing so. Hope you like Nina. She's got lots of fake spiderweb stuff everywhere and it is going to be a pain in the backside to clear up. I don't know why I did it. I'm stupid, that's why. Yeah, it is. It gets everywhere. My friend Jason came down last night for some tea and it was sticking to his t-shirt as he left. It actually works really well as spider's webs, and there's actually a few spiders in there as well. Yeah, just stuck in there. There's a spider up on top of there. Yeah, so I always said I would do some stories for you, and I fully intend to. I've got my dinette up, as you can see, so we're getting ready for the advent calendar as well. So that'll be coming in just over a month's time. Already an advent calendar. Ridiculous, isn't it? Let's get Halloween out of the way first. And I've had some really good stories, some very short ones, some a bit longer, which is great. And I've also got a couple of special guests for you. So as I'm going through the stories, you might see a couple of videos pop up, and I'll introduce them at the time. So I don't think there's anything else for it but to start reading these out. I just hope I do them justice. I've got it all on a piece of paper here, and then we'll get a couple of guests on for you as well. So the first story is from Mr. Rainbow Fairy Dust. That's a great name. Mr. Rainbow Fairy Dust says, "Hi Damon, I have had several experiences where I have felt kind, friendly energies. I remember feeling a woman sitting on my bed and I felt that she was the woman who had previously lived in the house, just saying hello. My mum passed away when I was 23, and at times, especially when I've been sad, I felt her presence with me really strongly, letting me know she was not far away. Sometimes she sends white feathers or songs on the radio. I think we've all sort of, yeah, I see white feathers. I don't really associate white feathers with anybody in particular, but I do see a lot of white feathers. And yeah, just after my mum died, actually, there were certain songs that were coming on the radio that I felt at the time were sent to help me a little bit. Yeah, so feathers or songs on the radio, and sometimes she visits in dreams, and yeah, I've had that as well. When the veil is thinner and we can honour and contact our ancestors and those in spirit is... When the veil is thinner, sorry, it's my reading, not your writing. When the veil is thinner and we can honour and contact our ancestors and those in spirit is beautiful. And my children and I shall be lighting a candle for all those and sending love, but we won't be doing trick-or-treating or making death into something that is to be feared. Really enjoy your videos, thank you." Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your story. And yeah, I think we all, when we lose someone, I think we all sort of attach emotions to something, you know, it's our grief and our love and everything. And yeah, I've got my own little story later that I'll tell you about, which I've done the same thing. But yeah, so yeah, it's weird. Must be weird. I mean, I've heard this story so many times, but to wake up and have someone sitting on your bed, I'd just put my head under the bed covers and that'd be that, I think. But as you said, you felt that she previously lived in the house and she was friendly, so that was good. Thank you for your story. The next story is from Val. Val, you sent some Christmas memories in as well, didn't you? So yeah, you've been sending me stories for years now, actually. So Val says, "Hi Damon, many years ago I used to collect mini bells from my travels, the kind you pick up from souvenir shops. Anyway, I had quite a collection. One night I woke up to the sound of one ringing. I sat bolt upright in bed and even my partner heard it. It wasn't a dream. I crept out into the living room to look on the shelf where they were stored. No evidence of any knocked down or otherwise tampered with. It scared the heck out of me. Needless to say, those bells are long gone. No plans to collect any in future. Oh, that, yeah, it would be quite scary in the middle of the night to have a bell ringing that you can't explain in the house, and yeah, to have all your bells sat there doing absolutely nothing. Ooh. I think I'm not sure I'd have got rid of all the bells. I'd have probably set a camera up or something and try to see what was going on, I think. But no, if that was what you felt to do, then brilliant. I wouldn't have wanted to hear the bells in the first place, I don't think. Not in my house. I go ghost hunting and things with Dan and that, and yeah, you kind of want to hear stuff like that then, but I don't think anybody really wants to hear anything in their house, do they? Very short one from Donnie, from Donnie's Weekend Van Life Travels UK. My mum died in 1977, just after my dad told me he felt someone put their arm around him, but there was no one there. But yeah, it's a nice little thing to happen, Donnie. Well done. Did it help your dad? Was it like helping with the grief and things? If it did, then yeah, that's perfect. Right, I'm going to show you a little video now, and so this is Colin. Sorry, Colin, I've forgotten your. I haven't written it down either. I think it's Out and About Travels on YouTube. Have a look for him. He'll probably say hello. Yeah, this is Colin's first video.
Back in September last year, I lost my wife Susan. September the 8th, 2021. Strange things started happening a couple of nights before she did actually pass away. I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was a black shadow standing over me, and it looked like it had a light in its hand. And I'm thinking, is it real, or am I dreaming? But anyway, I thought, well, my wife always believed, and she was always told by a medium friend of hers, is she has a guardian angel. In fact, they said she had more than one guardian angel. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it was Sue's guardian angel looking after me while Sue was in hospital, and didn't think no more about it. And anyway, I said 2 days later she passed away, and I was thinking then, was it Sue's guardian angel, or was it Susan herself telling me everything's going to be all right, she's safe? And that was the first of quite a few things that happened over the next coming weeks. I'll tell you more in a bit.
So there you go. I'll let you ponder on that. Colin told the story so well, and I think he said that with a bit of emotion as well. So obviously, you know, it's still very raw for him and his family. And yeah. Right, the next story. So the next story is from Tim Harrison. And I will have to shuffle pages halfway through. So this is from Tim. Tim says, "Hey Damon, didn't know if this is where you wanted the spooky story." He sent it me through Messenger. That was absolutely fine, Tim. Well done. Years ago, when me and Suze were courting, nearly 40 years ago now, I drove us out to a village about 8 miles away for a meal. A meal is probably a stretch, as I was only 18ish at the time. Think along the lines of a plate of chips. Yeah, been there. It was a dark winter's night, but not really cold yet. But a little mist, not really cold yet, but a little mist about. As we were driving along a twisty road, we rounded a bend and saw a figure turn sideways right in front of us in the middle of our side of the road. I had nowhere to go. Suze squealed, as did the tyres. I closed my eyes, waiting for the bump as we skidded to a stop, but there was nothing. I got out and looked behind. Nothing was there. Pulled off the road a bit and walked back. Nothing there at all. To this day, we were both certain something was there. We described the same figure and the same colour clothing. Every now and then, when driving from that village, one of us will say, "Do you remember when?" And it's funny actually, because I've got an almost identical story to this. Thanks for that, Tim. Yeah, it's very, very strange. And nothing happened. Nothing else has happened like that since. Even going along the same road as you've been doing. What sort of time of year was it? If you tried going back at the same time of year, yeah, yeah. I've had a very similar story. I think I might have said this in one of our videos before. It might have been last Halloween actually. We had to go to Ledbury to go and buy something, and it was on an evening. It was in probably about this time of year, and we drove into Ledbury, picked up what we were buying. I think it was a dog bed, and as we were driving out, obviously Ledbury to Gloucester is like a long, dark, winding road, and coming out of Ledbury, we were just driving along, and then up ahead you could see this little red light bobbing. And as we got closer, the headlights lit up the back of this bloke on a bike, and the red light on the back of the bike was bobbing like that. And as we went round the bend, it was completely gone. He just wasn't there. He sort of went round the bend a little bit before us, but we were like literally a second behind him. And as we went round the bend, he was gone, completely gone. There was a gateway to a field on the left, but there was nothing there. We just looked all round, and I kind of said I just started saying to Jen, I said, "Did you just see?" Yeah, she goes, "Yeah, I saw it as well." And yeah, completely gone. No sign of a bike at all. I think when we got back, I did do a bit of research from newspapers and stuff, and I think there had been an accident with someone on a bike in that area on that road. So yeah, very spooky. I mean, it looked completely normal when we were behind it. You know, I just thought it was a person on a bike, and you could see the bike bobbing and everything. Yeah, that one still sticks with me, that one. Very spooky. Right, the next story is from Agility Bits. Thank you very much. And I think it's a she. Yeah, I think it is. She says, "My cottage is 200 years old and it's very haunted. I've seen, heard and felt ghosts in here. The first one was a small brown and white dog. It trotted past me, went into the living room. I thought I was dreaming, but my husband suddenly called through." It is a she. Sorry. My husband suddenly called through to me. "Did you see that dog?" There are many other ghosts in here. One of them is my grandmother, who I've never met in life, but she comes back regularly. She mainly appears on the stairs. My dogs have all seen her. I felt my hair being stroked as I walked down the stairs. Most of the spirits in the house are people I don't know. One man appeared to me dressed as if he was going to a wedding. He smiled at me, but I had no idea what he wanted. One of my family, who doesn't live here, told me he wants me to tell his story. Apparently he ran away from a wedding as he was being pursued. He'd been accused of a murder, but he managed to escape and come to Cornwall. I haven't seen him since, so I'm awaiting the end of the story. Ooh. Who told you that? That was one of your family? Oh, one of my family who doesn't live here told me. Oh, so is your family member like a medium or kind of psychic, or did they sort of research it? 'Cause that's very strange. Yeah, so you're awaiting the intro. I believe the spirits that come here are something to do with the Methodist Church. I don't know what they want or why they keep coming back. The church here closed several years ago, and it's now a centre for Cornish studies and many other activities. It's next door to me. Across the road is the old church Sunday school, which is now a house. The previous occupants had to move as one of the family said it was haunted and they refused to live there. She kept hearing the choir singing. My husband passed away 4 years ago and I live here on my own. Am I scared? No, not really. The spirits have never hurt me. I know I'm never alone, but I just live with it. Well, fair play to you. If you're seeing things like that. The dog, oh yeah, I could cope with the dog, I think. But to have a man just standing in yeah, I'm not sure. like I say, in my home, I think I just want that nice and calm, and yeah, I'm not sure I want things happening at home. Quite happy to go to places like, went to the Ram Inn and things like that, you know, quite happy to do that, but yeah, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure I'd want that in my home, but yeah, fair play to you. And if you know, if you feel they're friendly, then brilliant. We were all you know, they were all people once, and if you treat them with respect and as people, and then I think, yeah, you'll get along just fine. Right, we've got another video from Colin now.
Another one of the stories I got off Foxtel was about a week, or just over a week, after she died. I was sat at home. It was I think it was a Saturday afternoon. We sat at home, sat on the suite. There was me, my youngest daughter, my eldest son. We have a corner unit, so I was sat in the corner. My daughter was sat to the left of me. My son was sat to the right of me. It was just a normal day, and then all of a sudden, hear the front door open, and we hear this woman's voice shout, "Hello." So myself and my daughter both shouted back, "Hello" back. And then my son, who was sat to the right of me, turned around and looked at us and said, "Are you shouting hello to?" And we said, "Did you not hear that? Did you not hear that woman's voice?" And he said, "No." So we went and checked, the door was closed, nobody else in the house. Spooky.
So that was another little thing that happened to Colin, and yeah, for two of you to hear something like that, wow. Right, so the next one was from Bärbel Born. She's my friend in Germany, and she does a lot of craft work and stuff, and you should go in watch some of her live streams. They're very interesting. I pop in every now and then and say hello. Hi Bärbel. Right, nothing paranormal, but some years ago I went to a cemetery to visit my gran. Because I love to save plants, I went to the large pile of plants the visitors have left there to make room for fresh plants in the graves. I saw a nice pot and grabbed it to take it home. I saw a white sponge inside, like it was used to keep flowers on a vase fresh, but it was no sponge. It was a skull. This really happened to me. It was a pile the gardener also used to get rid of, whatever. I never ever will search in a compost pile on a cemetery again. Now, when I read that, I actually messaged Bärbel and said, "Do you mean like an animal skull or a human skull?" And it was actually a human skull. Now, apparently in Germany, graves are only there for so long, and once like it's a set time, so once so many years have passed, then those graves are just removed and taken away and disposed of, including the human remains that are in them. So somehow a human skull ended up in this pile of stuff. Oh yeah, that would freak me out, I think. Yeah, pick up a human skull out of a graveyard. Yeah, don't blame me, Bärbel. No. No. Right, this one is from Zoe K. And Zoe says, "When I was 5, my twin sister and I had our own bedrooms. I used to be visited by this presence who I used to call the Tickle Man. Every night, without fail, I would put my arms above my head and he would tickle me. It sounds weird to say it out loud, haha. I never actually saw him. He was more like a presence that I knew was always there to comfort me. I kept this to myself until my sister and I were at a birthday party when we were about 16. And we were all sharing our spooky spiritual stories, as you do at parties when you're younger. It was my turn to, and when you're my age as well, obviously. It was my turn to go, so I started telling them about him. I never mentioned his name. I looked up at my sister, and before I could mention his name, she said, "Wait, the Tickle Man visited you too?" I responded, "Wait, what? How do you know about him?" And she goes, "Because he used to visit me. You know he lived above the space in your closet, right?" I never had told her his name nor my experience with him until then, and I used to always get an uneasy feeling around my closet too, which now makes sense. Safe to say, we all got pretty spooked. We moved out of that house when I was 6, and I've never felt him again. Ooh. Yeah, something about that don't sound quite right. I mean, do you think it was a family member, like a grandparent or great grandparent or something that just wanted to sort of make themselves known to you, or do you think it was like a complete stranger? If you're feeling uneasy around the closet, then maybe it was just a stranger. I don't know. Right, we've got another video from Colin here, and it's his last little video, so here he is.
The day after we had the experience where we heard the front door open and a woman shout hello, the morning after, my son got up and he said, Dad, said something happened again last night. I said, what? He said, well, I was lying in bed, and all of a sudden I was woke up because the telly switched on. Now, he said I'm lifting my blankets off and everything, looking, see whether I'd rolled over onto the remote control and actually switched it on. But he couldn't find it, and when he looked, the remote control was at the other side of the road under his telly, because his telly was on the wall at the bottom of his bedroom. So I could tell you many more, but Damon's video will take too long. See ya.
And there we go. So thank you for all those, Colin, and it was very brave of you actually to speak about your wife so soon, and I could see the emotion in your face and in your voice. I could hear the emotion in your voice. So thank you for those stories, and yeah, I'm sure they'll be with you for years, those experiences, and yeah, I think that was a good thing. Yeah, very nice. Right, the next one is from Joe Wheeler, and my good friend, and I think this is quite a long one. Right, so Joe says, it goes back to when I was very young. How I have memories of these things at that age, and yet forget what I went to the store for, I don't know. You and me both, Joe. I guess these kind of things get imprinted into your mind. When I was a very young child, me and my family lived in a flat apartment for the Americans, and my dad would go off to work, leaving me with my mum. I remember whenever I would play with my toy cars in the living room, and my mum would go to the kitchen to cook or do things, I always remember feeling that someone came in the room and was sat with me on the floor. I could feel it. It felt scary, yet I just carried on playing with the toy cars and never said anything or cried. What sort of age was that then, Joe? Sort of like quite young, like a toddler. This happened often. Also, I was at that age where I would be put to bed in a cot. Oh right, yeah, you're a toddler. In the afternoon for a nap. I always remember having a toy of the sun, which had a squeak to it. Sounds like a dog toy. It was like the sun, kind of like Teletubby sun or something like that squeaked, I guess. I've lost my place. The sun had a squeak, which had a squeak to it. Once I was placed in my cot and my mum left me to sleep, I would always hear that toy squeak. Oh, my granddad, mum's father, passed away when I was 2 years old, and thinking back, I believe it was him watching over me. But I also have a memory from that same flat. It was my birthday and my parents invited family over for tea. A buffet table of food and drinks. It's the best teas. I remember the doorbell going. It was my grandparents, my dad's parents, at the door, and all happy to see me, but I burst out crying and pointing. My mum and dad said, "What is the matter? It's only Nan and Grandad." But no, I could see a man behind them with a dirty face and what looked like it could have been fishing clothes, red and white striped jumper, black trousers, smiling at me. My parents walked me into the living room and I jumped and hid under the table pointing at the front door. He never stepped inside. I now wonder if the presence around me was him. We eventually moved from that flat as my parents bought a house, as my sister was due to be born soon. That next house has some strange activity that other family members also witnessed, even members of my family who would never believe in paranormal things. But that will be a story for another time. Ooh. So you grew up kind of with all that sort of stuff. I don't think I grew up with that kind of thing. I don't think I did. I don't remember. No, I don't remember. I don't even remember having an imaginary friend, actually. Just trying to think. No, the interest definitely came to me sort of later on. Same house, actually. We used to have something walk down the stairs quite often, actually. I remember I told my cousin about it, and what used to happen, we had two steps going down and then a flight of stairs, and then at the bottom we had the front door and then the living room door. And you used to get someone come down the 2 stairs, and then they slowly walk down the other stairs, and you could hear every step. It wasn't just a case of the steps creaking or anything. It was, you know, you could hear each step being stepped on, and then it would get down to the bottom by the doors and then just stop. And I remember my cousin came to stay, and he was sleeping in the living room downstairs. Mum and Dad wouldn't put us together because we'd just be up all night yakking and messing about. So I used to be in my bedroom, and they used to put him down on the settee downstairs. And the settee, like in the living room, the stairs went up through the living room basically. You had like an alcove under the stairs, and that's where the settee was. And I told him about what happens, and he didn't believe me. He sort of wasn't really sort of into all that. And he said, when we went and saw him the next day, he said, "I thought you were messing about last night." I said, "Why?" And he goes, "I heard the steps." He goes, "They went down the 2 and then they went down the flight, and I was waiting for you to come in the door." And he said, "You didn't." So I got up and opened the door and put my head out, and there was nothing there. And he said, "I just got back into my bed and I didn't put my head out for the rest of the night." So, but that's all it did. I didn't, you know, there wasn't anything else. And I think I don't know if I made up the name or it just came to me, but it was the Red Lady. So yeah, I don't know where that came from. I didn't actually see a red lady. All you did was heard it. You know, you could hear it. So, but yeah, right. We've got another guest. So this is my good friend Dan, and he's going to tell you how he got into his ghost hunting. So here you are. Here's Dan.
Hi everybody, it's Dan Winter here from the channel Dan Winter, and I've been asked by my very good friend Damon from Nina the Ambulance Camper to make a video about how I got into ghost hunting, because I've been a ghost hunter now for in excess of 30 years, and I've had many different experiences that I couldn't really explain, and it wasn't the later experiences that got me into ghost hunting per se. I got into ghost hunting because of something that happened to me when I was a very small child. I was around about 7 years old, and I was in bed one night, early hours of the morning, and I got up, as little boys do, because I need to use the toilet. Probably too much information there, but it's all part and parcel of the story, so you're going to have the grim bits as well. So I remember going to the bathroom and then going back to bed, and I sat on the edge of my bed, and obviously the lights were all out because I didn't want to wake anybody. And as I sat on the edge of my bed, a thought came into my mind, and the thought was, do not look to your left. Whatever you do, don't look to the left. And of course, I should imagine that even though I was fearful of what was on my left, I was also very inquisitive. So gradually my head started moving towards the left, looking towards the left. And there, probably, I don't know, maybe 5 feet, 6 feet in front of me, was a man just standing there looking at me. And he had, as far as I can remember, a pleasant look on his face. But to me, this was just terrifying. I could see the way he was dressed. I could see him as clearly as I could see another person. But one of the astonishing things is that this man wasn't in shadow. This man was lit. You could actually see him as though he was standing in front of you in the daylight, even though it was in pitch darkness, the room that I was in. And I wanted to scream from appearance. I wanted to shout out loud. I wanted to attract them, to let them know that there was somebody in the room. But my voice was frozen. I just couldn't bring forth any form of scream or shout. And I remember the hairs in the back of my neck going up. I remember feeling incredibly cold. And I remember this desperation to get my voice out, but it just wouldn't come. And I still think to this day that the man recognised that I was very fearful. I don't think he meant to put the fear into me. And he just smiled at me, and he turned, and he just vanished. Now, people said to me, did he disappear like a pop? Did he disappear gradually? And I really can't answer that. He neither one nor the other. He just disappeared, ceased to be there. As though he turned to maybe walk through a door, I don't know. But I do remember that behind him, there was a light. And the best way that I can describe this is it was a light that was kind of in a doorway. When the door's closed, you know, you're in a dark room, the door's closed, but there's a light just illuminating what was in front of it. As I've said before, there were no lights on in the house, so that wasn't an answer to it. And that got me into ghost hunting. That's why I became a ghost hunter. And that's one of, not the only one, but probably the catalyst, or one of the catalysts that pushed me forward into ghost hunting. My mum and dad, particularly my mother, she never discredited the spirit world. It wasn't something that she hid behind or was fearful of. She was forward with it. She believed in it, as did my father, although my father wasn't as vocal as my mother. But, you know, she used to tell us all these stories and things growing up. And they didn't really have a flavour on that moment. That was something that just came out of nowhere. And when I explained it to my mother, the first thing she went to was it wasn't a dream, it wasn't something that, it was a spirit that was visiting me, and not to be worried, there wasn't any harm meant. I kind of knew that anyway, but it still doesn't stop you being fearful. Anyway, I've gone on too long. That's one of the stories of me getting into ghost hunting, and I hope it suffices. Take it easy, guys, and have a happy Halloween. I'll be out ghost hunting in Wales.
Right, so that was Dan. I can put that down now. So that's the end of the stories from you lot. Thank you very much for those stories. That's lovely. Made a nice. Actually, there were some nice stories in there. You know, made a nice little Halloween kind of campfire stories. That's good. So I've got one little story that happened recently, and it's not necessarily paranormal. It's kind of well, I'll just tell you. Obviously, this year we've unfortunately lost our two eldest dogs. I think they were, Barney was the oldest actually when we lost him 2 years ago. Then we lost Bonnie, our boxer cross Rottweiler, a while back, and then I think I can't remember when we lost Bonnie. Might have been May time, and then more recently we lost Stan, my black and white collie, and yeah, she was a very difficult dog. I've got scars all over me from where she used to bite and everything. She the first year of her life she spent in a crate, and she was let out to go toilet and to eat, and then they tried to get her back in the crate, and they would use a plank of wood to basically beat her back into the crate. And yeah, so that was the first year of her life, and she spent that in a crate. Being a border collie, she just went kind of a little bit doolally. Something just wasn't right with her brain, whether she'd been hit too hard or whether it was just being cooped up because she had a really clever brain and she wasn't being allowed to use it, cooped up in a crate, I don't know. But then we took her on, and at a year old, because the rescue that had her, she was ended up in rescue, and the rescue that had her tried to rehome her, but because of her like guarding, she used to guard everything, and her biting, they said, "Oh, just take her to the vets. We don't want her back." So, which yeah, not very nice, but so we ended up bringing her back home, and she stayed with us for the rest of her life. So she was 12. Yeah, I think she was 12 when she died this year. And yeah, so she died. We had to have her put to sleep at the vets. And the next morning, I was down in the field with the other dogs working, and now I associate white butterflies with my mum. Don't know why. I just one day decided that white butterflies were a sign from mum. At my mum's funeral, my cousin bought a sunflower, and on the sunflower there was this like ornate butterfly, and I actually took that off and kept it, and I've still got it now. It's in the bedroom, and yeah, so that was a butterfly, and of course I suppose that kind of made me associate butterflies with mum, and for some reason I made it into white ones. So so every time I see a white butterfly, I just say hello mum. And yeah, down the field we get a few white butterflies, and I'm always sort of saying hello mum. Anyway, the morning after Sam died, I was down there, and this white butterfly just went fluttering by. So I said hello mum, and I said, oh, it would be really good if you could send me a black and white butterfly for Sam. And I don't remember seeing a black and white butterfly before. I know they probably exist, but I've never seen one down the field before. And anyway, I didn't think anything of it. You know, I just got all the dogs back in, and we left the field and came home. At the time, Jem was away pet sitting, so I was there on my own. And yeah, on the last thing at night, I let all the dogs out, and then I was out in the garden scooping up what they'd done. And on the ground, I just saw something white, and I looked closer. And actually, if I've got the video clips now, I can't remember if I kept the video clips. I got my phone out and videoed it. I'll put it up there. It's just you know, when it was in the grass, and it was a moth. Now, all right, it's not a butterfly, but it's pretty close to a butterfly. You know, it looks just like a butterfly. I've never ever seen a moth that isn't brown or beige or some sort of variant of brown. I didn't know moths came in like light colours, you know, like that. But it was this white moth, and it had black edging all the way around its wings, like quite thick, I think it was. And yeah, it had this black edging, so it was a black and white moth. And I was just like stunned. I was just like, you know, because I was only asked that morning, and I'd never seen one of these moths before. I've never seen a black and white butterfly before. And yeah, I just leant down and put my finger next to it, and I was going like, hello Sam. And this moth crawled onto my finger and then flew up, because I was bending down and my legs apart. It flew off, well, I thought it flew off in between my legs and dropped away. And as I stood up, it flew back up again, and it was just like doing circles right in front of me. And I turned round, and it was like doing sort of like to face the house we live in, and it was doing like wider circles. And I just put my finger up, and it did a couple of circles, and then it landed on my finger, and it stayed there for, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and it was just like, just really comfortable, just comfortably just looking at me. And I was just like in shock. And then it took off, and it did just kept going around in circles like that, and it went up and up and up, and disappeared over the top of the house. And yeah, it was just like, it was like a really, what's the word, like a vivid experience. It was just like, I don't know, I asked for it and I got it, and I was just in shock, I think. But yeah, I still remember that now. I've never seen them. Well, I've never seen them in our garden before, and I saw it once. Where about a week later, I was in our bathroom, and I could, you know, you got like the frosted windows, and there was a one of these moths on the other side of the window, sort of spread out, just sitting on the window, and I could see it was the same ones that had the black around the wings, and it was white. And yeah, and then that flew off, and I've never seen any in there since. So yeah, coincidence maybe, but it was exactly what I asked for, and I've never seen a moth that isn't brown. So I did look up what type of moth it was, and it's a box caterpillar moth. Box caterpillar moth, I think it is, yeah. And you know, there's like little hedges and stuff. Those box hedges. They when they're caterpillars, they get into those and completely decimate them. They kill it off basically by growing up on it. And yeah, so but none of our hedges are killed off. But yeah, so that was my little story recently, and whether it's paranormal or not, or whether it was Sam saying hello, I don't know. Massive coincidence if it wasn't. Massive. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've probably bumbled my way through it. I'm not good at reading stuff out very clearly. I'm not like a narrator or anything, so I'm sorry if I stumbled across some of the words and things and rambled. But yeah, it was good to have the stories and to be able to read them out. So thank you everyone that contributed to that. Enjoy the rest of your Halloween, and I hope you see lots of spooky things in your street, walking up and down. Actually, we just watched that when we were on our last camp. Yeah, I think it was the last camp. We watched the new film on, was it Netflix? The Curse of Bridge Hollow with Marlon Wayans. And yeah, it's about this spirit that was in this jack-o'-lantern that was a turnip, but not pumpkin, it was a turnip. And they accidentally sort of released this spirit from it, and it made all the, like in America, they sort of go big on Halloween, and you know, this place did anyway in the film. And it had like skeletons and things in the gardens and stuff, and it made all those skeletons come to life, and they were kind of ravaging this town. And it was a comedy, and it was actually really funny, so I do recommend that if you haven't seen it. Give that a watch tonight. Thank you for watching, and I need to go and clear all this up now. Ready for Christmas, yeah. So I will see you all again soon. Take care everybody, happy Halloween, bye.